Welcome back everyone, this is going to be my brand new first look video about Batman in the Flash movie. They've been filming for a while, so we finally have a look at Michael Keaton's Batman. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Of course, I'll be doing videos for the movie. They'll be filming for a while, so this will be going on for the next couple of months. But if you have no idea what's going on, Andy Muschietti, the director, has been posting a lot of behind-the-scenes pictures from the set as they continue to film. Michael Keaton has been on the set for a while now. Like, they refer to them as Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne on set, because Michael Keaton will be filming scenes as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. But if you haven't been following the news, the real big deal is that Michael Keaton is coming back as his version of Batman from the Tim Burton movies. We're sort of calling that the Burtonverse, because they're doing a Flashpoint-inspired story for the story of the Flash movie. It won't be exactly like the comic book story, but they're introducing more of a legit multiverse during the actual movie. So it's Ezra Miller's Flash traveling from the Earth the Justice League movies take place on to the Earth where Tim Burton's Batman movies took place. And that's where we meet Michael Keaton's Batman. And he sort of aged himself into an early Batman Beyond aged Bruce Wayne, like a 60-something Bruce Wayne, even though technically he was 80 during the events of the Batman Beyond series. You get the idea, he's just meant to be a much older, grayer version of Batman, but still very much Batman. The costume picture that everyone's talking about this week is of his new costume, but it's made to look like a more advanced, more hardcore version of his classic Tim Burton Batman suit from Batman Returns. That sort of plays into the timeline of the movie, where he's at when the story of the movie begins. So they explain for the purposes of his Batman in the timeline of DC movies right now where the Flash movie takes place, they're treating his Batman as if he's coming off of the events of Batman Returns, like what happened in the last 30 years since the end of Batman Returns, and they're pretending like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and all the other Batman movies since then took place in other universes. So even though you have this continuity with the same Alfred across a couple different Batman, like you have Val Kilmer, George Clooney coming along, they're treating it as if those versions of Batman are from other universes. So when we meet Michael Keaton, he will not have experienced the events of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, which I think is the smart way to go. Like, we'll just deal with the continuity from the first two Tim Burton Batman movies and just treat everything else like it's multiverse. So that's why you see them filming scenes at the old Wayne Manor from his Batman movies. If you didn't recognize it, this is his Wayne Manor from those first two films. But you can see the chest plate lines here look almost exactly like the second version of his suit from Batman Returns. That was the movie where they teased the vault of many different suits because it was a sequel, and they only had the one suit in the first Batman 1989 movie. It was a little more lightweight, even though Michael Keaton said he was never able to turn his head sideways in it because of the way they constructed the cowl. Like, it was actually kind of hard for him to film in. He didn't really like filming in the actual suit that much, even though he did enjoy playing Batman. Later Batman movies tried to fix that problem, and they kind of made jokes about it during the Christopher Nolan era Batman movies. Like during The Dark Knight, when he's getting his new upgraded suit, they have that very specific scene with Lucius Fox calling it out where he says, "Oh, you want to be able to turn your head." The whole idea being that they created more weak points with the seams, allowing villains more targets to pierce the armor or stab him. So when you're talking about Batman suits, the whole trade-off is do you want to be able to take more of a beating, or do you want to be more nimble? Just depends on what kind of fight you're walking into. That's why Michael Keaton's Batman in Batman Returns starts the movie in the original suit from the first movie, but then Catwoman almost guts him with her metal claws, so when he comes back again, he's wearing the upgraded armor with the thicker plating. And that's kind of what this new Batman suit looks like a futuristic version of what that more armored suit from Batman Returns would have become given another 30 years. These darker black lines radiate out from the symbol, seem like they're more structural reinforcements, and the Batman symbol itself in the chest plate also seems way more hardcore. But the symbol is meant to be the exact same symbol, so you know instantly which Batman you're looking at. There was some talk last year that his new suit during the movie would be something akin to a Kingdom Come looking armor suit, which isn't quite the same thing as Ben Affleck's Frank Miller inspired tank looking suit from The Dark Knight Returns. Zack Snyder was just going for more of a Frank Miller inspired look for his Ben Affleck version of Batman. That's why during the Justice League Snyder cut in that epilogue scene, they actually do the legit tank from The Dark Knight Returns. The Batman suit from Kingdom Come was a little bit leaner, but the idea was because in that future timeline of Kingdom Come, Batman's body had just suffered so many injuries he could barely stand without the help of a mech suit, so he walked around with a special harness base layer that just helped him get around and wore a much larger armor suit on top of that when he was acting as Batman. But I don't think they're going full Kingdom Come in the movie. They kind of got into this with the Kevin Conroy version of Batman during Crisis on Infinite Earths. That was meant to be sort of an amalgam Kingdom Come version of Batman. I did a big deleted scenes video for that because originally that part was written for Michael Keaton himself. The producers of the show said they went to him, but he turned them down. So a lot of the concept art for Crisis on Infinite Earths features Michael Keaton Batman in a Kingdom Come harness. But the other real big things people have been talking about with this big teaser is the blood splatter and the fact that the Batman suit itself seems like it's covered in dust. But a lot of people were talking about Watchmen after they saw this because it does give off a very Batman Flash button crossover vibe with the comedian's button from the Watchmen movies in the iconic blood splatter from the Watchmen comics. If you never read that Flash Batman button crossover story, it was a prequel meant to set up the Watchmen Doomsday Clock storyline where Superman fought Dr. Manhattan for the fate of the multiverse. If you didn't realize, Watchmen became part of the DC universe a long time ago when DC bought the Watchmen comics from Alan Moore. But DC did a big crossover event with all those characters, and it started with DC Rebirth, the button storyline with Batman finding the comedian's bloody button from the Watchmen comics was just the next big part of that. And they did it as a detective crossover story with the Flash and Batman teaming up because the Flash, by trade, is a crime scene investigator and Batman is the world's greatest detective. So there was all this weird stuff that was happening. Batman finds this bloody button. They don't know what it means, so they do all this detective work. But while this is happening, Reverse Flash also shows up in the Batcave and beats the crap out of Batman. It was a really cool scene. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see a ton of Watchmen stuff going on in this new Flash movie. Maybe a few minor Easter eggs from the multiverse like we saw in Crisis on Infinite Earths. They had a quick blink and you'll miss it Watchmen Easter egg on a billboard when Constantine takes them to Lucifer's Earth on Earth 666 because he's the devil. You get the joke. But my early theory here for why the suit looks like it's covered in dust and has the new blood splatter on it is because it might just be inside his Batcave, Michael Keaton's Batcave, hanging up, collecting a lot of dust over the years like he hasn't worn this particular suit in a long time. But when the Flash or someone, one of the villains maybe, of the movie shows up inside his Batcave, Michael Keaton's Batman probably gets into a fight with them or something happens, he spills some new blood on this old dusty suit. But it is meant to be new fresh blood on an old dusty suit. They haven't confirmed who the actual main villain of the Flash movie is. They're doing a version of Flashpoint, and obviously Reverse Flash was the main villain of that story. But there was talk last year that because they're already changing so much about that classic Flashpoint story, like it won't be the exact same story, they weren't going to go straight to Reverse Flash as the main villain of this first new Flash movie. They'd save him for the sequels. I'm not expecting them to actually post any footage of Michael Keaton himself running around in an actual Batman costume till like way later this year. There is a big DC Fandome event happening later this year. That might be when we get the first legit big teaser trailer. That's also probably when Matt Reeves is going to release a new trailer for the Batman movie because that's coming out in March and this whole DC Fandome event is happening in the fall. And even though I didn't talk about him during this video, Ben Affleck is coming back in the Flash movie. He's the one that's actually making the Flash's new suit that they sort of teased in that concept teaser at the beginning of this. They released that at DC Fandome last year, so he will be getting a new Flash costume. And if you couldn't tell, the special intro, like the teaser that they dropped earlier that I put at the beginning of this too with the logo reveal, that's also made to be like a version of what his costume is going to look like, with all that Speed Force energy arcing all over it in those patterns. So there will be some continuity from the end of the Justice League movie, like we just had the Justice League Snyder cut, and even though technically the epilogue isn't supposed to be canon to the future DC movies, so I'm not expecting a whole lot of that to be referenced during the Flash movie, most of the events of Justice League are still canon, so for the most part, like if you just pretend like them defeating Darkseid here, like them seeing him and then them going off, if you pretend like that's the end of the film, everything that happens up to then is still canon. I know I haven't talked much about Supergirl in the Flash movie because they are introducing a new version of Supergirl, and it's based on what seems like Henry Cavill's Superman because they held up the same suit. They held up Henry Cavill's Superman costume when they were revealing this new Supergirl. So it sounds like they're implying that she might come from the main Justice League Earth, so it'll be fun to see how they try to explain where she's been this whole time. But as for the future Michael Keaton's older Batman in the DC movies, the idea was, I think when they signed him for multiple films. There was talk about him showing up during a Batgirl film. They did announce that, but that movie is actually going straight to HBO Max, and it sounds like it's going to be a little bit smaller. There was also talk about them eventually doing a legit Batman Beyond movie. Nobody from Warner Brothers has really said much about that or the idea of Terry McGinnis showing up. But the other idea was that he would serve as a mentor figure in bigger Justice League crossover films where you have multiple Justice League characters showing up. I don't know if they ever plan to cross over Robert Pattinson's version of Batman. For the most part, Matt Reeves said that he's kind of working in his own small universe of Earth 2 for the events of his Batman movies. They're going to be using the Flash movie to sort of make sense of all these different disparate movies and different versions of the characters. But everyone, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Michael Keaton Batman in the Flash movie? What are you most hyped up to see? I just can't wait to actually see him on screen, being Batman again. Something I never thought that we were ever going to see. There's a whole bunch of really big stuff coming up. They're in the middle of filming a couple big DC movies, so of course I'll be doing videos for all that stuff. My Loki episodes are going to start posting next week, so make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss anything. Everyone click here for that brand new Shazam 2 teaser trailer video and Easter eggs, and click here for all my brand new Loki videos and my brand new Thor 4 first look video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.